Welcome to Module 3 of the Blended Learning Academy. So in this module, we'll be exploring methods to integrate blended learning into your classroom, and we'll answer questions and provide individualized feedback to provide clarity, direction, and support. And then we'll also analyze how blended learning is used in multiple environments. So in this module, the main focus is giving you an opportunity to look at your curriculum and see how you could use this in your classroom, and also see some other options or other models and how they're used across different types of classrooms, and maybe which model would be the best fit for your classroom. So in this module for your checklist, you will be watching the introduction video, which you're doing now, and then completing the module readings. For this one, there are 2 video files for this module, so watch both of those. Then you'll post your discussion, reply to the 2 discussion posts, and then completing the activity, which is the Blended Learning Planning Guide. And so in Google Classroom, you will see the introduction, which is where this video will be, with our module outcomes and goals, along with the course outcome and goal. And then for the reading, there is an article that is on Edutopia about different frequently asked blended learning questions. So I'm sure at this point you're starting to get some questions about how this is going to work for you. And this is a really great article to kind of give you some direction. And then there are a couple of video files. This one talks about the Disrupting Class Part 4, talks a lot about the different models and the use of blended learning in the classroom. And then this student-centered model of blended learning is a really good model or example of how you can see how it's used in a secondary classroom. So these videos are really good resources. Then you have your discussion posts with your questions that are framed around this video as well. And then for the activity is the Blended Learning Planning Guide. And so before our next meeting, I really want you to sit down with your PLC team and look at some curriculum or a lesson in particular that you feel like students may need a little extra support, and how can blended learning really help elevate that lesson to the next level. And so this template has been modified from an existing template by the L&S Learning and Support Services at UW-Madison. You can see where you can find that here at this link. But whenever you click on this document, you will see that it kind of gives you a breakdown of the different steps. So defining the learning objectives, having some key questions. You can type on this document and kind of use this as you're planning with your PLC team. And then there's step 2, which is defining your assessment goals. So how are you going to be measuring the learning that's happening? And then considering the blended learning model. So what blended learning model will help in this situation? What do you think will help benefit your students? And then for the last one is planning and sequencing your instructional strategies. And there's quite a few questions there for key questions. You do not have to answer all of these questions, but they're just kind of there as a guide. So feel free to edit this as you need for your team. Everyone's individual, especially with different contents. Some things apply and some things don't. So feel free to take this document and kind of make it your own whenever you're going through planning. And whenever you do finish with this document, you can turn it in here so we can see this and share it whenever we have our next meeting for module number 3. And so at this point, you're really starting to apply this to your content, to your curriculum, and getting an idea of how this might work in your classroom, and starting to implement blended learning, which will be going into in modules 4 and modules 5.